Good evening. Welcome to another government class. Today in our class, we're looking at a new topic, which is constitutional development in Nigeria. In today's class, we'll be looking at all the constitution that we have used in Nigeria before independence and after independence. Okay? I'm going to list the constitution that we have used in Nigeria before independence and after independence. So those are the things we'll be looking at in today's class. Okay? So we have constitution like as the first one. Nigerian Council of 1914. I have Clifford Constitution of 1922. We have Richard Constitution of 1946. We have Macpherson Constitution of 1951. We have Lyttleton Constitution of 1954. We have Independence Constitution of 1960. We have First Republican Constitution of 1963. We also have Second Republican Constitution of 1979. We have Third Republican Constitution of 1989. Then we have Fourth Republican Constitution of 1999. So, okay. Hello? The camera is blurring. Let me adjust. Maybe it's the network, but I've tried to adjust a little. Can you see it? Okay. So You guys welcome to today's government live class. So the topic on the board, as I promised last class, is constitutional development in Nigeria. And in this area, JAMB has a lot of questions. Okay, you can see all the constitution that have been used in Nigeria on the board. So if you look at your textbook, you see how lengthy and how comprehensive you have this topic. But here we're going to make it very simpler for you and give you what? Easy way to what? Understand this, okay? I will summarize everything that you should know and what they will ask from you in your JAMB examination. Are we together? So, we're going to start with the first one, which is Nigerian Council of 1914. So we just take it gradually like that, okay? So the first one, which is Nigerian Council of 1914. So you guys have to listen because I'm going to do a lot of explanation here so that we can get back to the word, the Constitution, okay? Now, the first thing we should know is this. Okay, let me start with Constitution. Okay, what do you understand by the word Constitution? Okay, the word Constitution means a set of rules and regulation, or we can call it a body of set of rules and regulation. A body of set of rules and regulation. Not only rules and regulation, it can also be what? Norms, customs, tradition that guides an individual in an acceptable way he or she should behave. A body of set of rules, regulation, tradition, custom, norms that guides an individual in a way he or she should what? Behave in a country. That's what Constitution is all about, okay? Now, and the body of set of rules can be contained in a single document, as in we have it in written Constitution, or probably it might not be codified in a single document, as we have it in unwritten Constitution. But that is where we're not going there, okay? We're just looking at the development of what? Constitution in Nigeria. I don't have to let you know the meaning of what? Constitution. So now, the first Constitution ever used in Nigeria is Nigerian Council of 1914. So now, what resulted to this Constitution? That's what I'm going to now, okay? Now, the indirect rule system was first introduced into Nigeria. That was in the northern part of Nigeria, 1900. The indirect rule system was first introduced to the northern part of Nigeria in the year 1900. January 1st, 1900, okay? Then, the aim of the British, okay, was to colonize Nigeria just because of our resources and the need for the expansion of their markets. So doing that, they found out that Nigeria, due to the pre-colonial era used in Nigeria, pre-colonial era like the Hausa/Fulani, the Igbo pre-colonial administration, the Yoruba and the Old Oyo pre-colonial administration, they have to introduce the indirect rule system to the northern part because they found out that the northern administration was a centralized system of what? Administration, which will favor the use of the indirect rule system. So during that, 1900, the indirect rule system was introduced in the northern part. Now, I'm be mentioning the indirect rule system. What do we understand by the word indirect rule? Indirect rule is just like a colonial, British colonial system of administration, the policy used by the British colonial administration, in which they govern Nigeria through the use of the traditional rulers or chiefs as link between the British government and Nigeria. That is the meaning of the word indirect rule, okay? Now, this constitution came on board as a result after the amalgamation, okay? The first amalgamation happened on May 1st, 1906. That's the first amalgamation. May 1st, 1906. Okay, the aim of the amalgamation, the word amalgamation means what? Merging, okay? So the first amalgamation, the first merging happened May 1st, 1906. Now, before the amalgamation, what we do have in Nigeria then was this. We do have Lagos colony. We do have Southern Protectorate, and we also have what? Northern Protectorate. Now, these are the three administrative units that we have in Nigeria before the first amalgamation. Lagos colony, Southern Protectorate, and the what? Northern Protectorate. So, the first amalgamation. So, on May 1st, 1906, Lagos colony. Don't forget, all these are just administrative units. Okay? So on May 1st, 1906, Lagos colony was amalgamated. So in brackets, merge with Southern Protectorate. Merge with Southern Protectorate to form the colony of Lagos and Southern Protectorate. Now, this is just the foundation of constitutional development in Nigeria. Nigerian Council of what? 1914. So you just have to understand what have happened before the 1914 Constitution was what? Introduced. Are we together? So, on May 1st, 1906, Lagos colony was amalgamated. I said the meaning of amalgamated is what? Merge, okay? With Southern Protectorate. Don't forget, I said these three. They are just what? A mere what? Administrative what? Units. Okay? So, to form the colony of Lagos and Southern Protectorate. Are we together? Now, all these things they are doing is just for them to what? Make use effectively of the indirect rule system in Nigeria. Don't forget I mentioned that 1900 indirect rule system was used in the what? Northern parts. Okay, so it wasn't applicable to Lagos Colony and Southern Protectorate. So to make it now effective to the whole of what? Nigeria. Talking about Lagos Colony, Southern Protectorate, Northern Protectorate, we have to have what? Amalgamation. So the first amalgamation was the one we had May 1st, 1906. So the second one now. Also, on January 1st, 1914, the colony of Lagos and Southern Protectorate was merged with Northern Protectorate. To form the Protectorate of Nigeria. That is the second amalgamation, okay, where we have the colony of Lagos and Southern Protectorate merged with what? Northern Protectorate to form what? The Protectorate of what? Nigeria. So with this, the British claimed that they'll be able to what? Penetrate what? The whole of what? Nigeria. Since it's now what? A one body called what? The Protectorate of Nigeria. And they made this possible due to the second amalgamation that happened on January 1st, 1914. Now, because Nigeria now have a new name, Protectorate of what? Nigeria, as one single body. So that will be very easy for them to bring in their what? Their constitution. Okay? So now, Sir Frederick Lord Lugard was made the governor of Nigeria. Sir Frederick Lord Lugard was made the governor of Nigeria and referred to as father of indirect rule. And referred to father of indirect rule. Okay, so I'm just giving you what has happened in the back since Nigeria divided into what? Administrative unit. Okay, now this is now what? Protectorate of Nigeria, where there is what? A governor, and the governor there is Sir Frederick Lord Lugard. Are we together? Now let's see and talk more about the Constitution now. Okay. Now, back to the Constitution now. Since you know what has happened in the past, Nigerian Constitution, so Nigerian Council of 1914 was the first British constitution in Nigeria. Sir Frederick Lord Lugard was the Governor General i.e. head of states, acting on behalf of the Queen of England. Okay, if you look at what we have on the board, now I'm now introducing us to what? To the topic for today, which is Nigerian Council of what? 1914, okay? Now I said Nigerian Council of 1914 was the first British constitution in Nigeria, okay? Sir Frederick Lord Lugard was the Governor General. I said the first Governor what? General. And the position of Governor General then, okay, is like what? Head of state. But the head of state is a kind of what? A virtual head of state. In the sense that the real head of state is in what? London. That is the person of who? The Queen of England then. Okay? So that is what we have under the word Nigerian Council of what? 1914. The next thing is to know the number of the people that are making law. Talk about the legislative body. How the legislative body look like then, okay? The Nigerian Council of 1914 had 24 official members and 12 unofficial members. Now, the total number of bodies that make laws under the Nigerian Council of 1914, we have what? 36. Okay? How is it 36? 24 official members, okay? And 12 unofficial members. Now, let me explain the meaning of saying the word official and saying the word unofficial. Official means that the people that dominate this particular space are strictly Europeans. That is the British personnel, okay? While the unofficial members are used to qualify the traditional rulers used in Nigeria to support the indirect rule system. So that's the meaning of what? Unofficial. So official strictly means what? The members there are what? Are the Europeans. While unofficial is talking about what? The membership there are what? Nigerians, okay? So let's continue.